Hello, I'm Josie.
What I'm about to share is a deeply personal journey, a tale of love, longing, and the fragile lines that separate what feels right from what actually is. I met Daniel through an arranged marriage. To some, that might sound unusual, even old-fashioned. But for me, it was the beginning of something meaningful. Daniel is a wonderful man, thoughtful, driven, and deeply committed to his work. A self-made businessman, he's built a life filled with comfort and success. We live in a grand home, one of those places that gleams with elegance, filled with every imaginable luxury. But behind the polished floors and shimmering chandeliers, there's a kind of silence that sinks into your bones. That's the thing about big houses. They echo, especially when you're alone. When we got married, I moved away from my hometown, left behind my family, my friends, the rhythm of a life I knew so well. At first, it felt like stepping into a dream. Daniel and I were inseparable, attending parties, galas, and dinners. He brought me into his world, and I embraced it with excitement. But as time passed, his work consumed him. The nights grew quieter. The dinner stopped. I began to wander through the halls alone, filling my time with routines that meant little. Loneliness crept in slowly, like cold seeping under a door. Then one day, Daniel casually mentioned that his sister, Julia, would be staying with us for a while. She had work in the city and would be living with us temporarily. I remembered Julia only vaguely from our wedding. She had stood out, confident, magnetic, the kind of woman who seemed to bring energy into any room. The thought of having someone around again stirred something in me. When Julia arrived, I welcomed her warmly. I had prepared the guest room, stocked her favorite coffee, and even put on my best dress. The moment I opened the door and saw her smile, I felt something shift. She embraced me like we were old friends, and from that moment on, the house didn't feel quite so empty. We began with small conversations, family updates, casual chats over breakfast. But before long, we were confiding in each other. She shared stories of her travels, her adventures, her life. I spoke of my own, of how I'd lost pieces of myself in the quiet. Spending time with Julia became the highlight of my days. We explored the city, cooked together, stayed up watching movies. I felt alive again, like I had rediscovered a part of me that had gone missing. Then one evening, while we were laughing over something silly, I looked at her and felt something I hadn't expected. It was more than friendship. Her laughter, the way she looked at me, it all sparked something inside me I couldn't ignore. I tried to convince myself it was just appreciation, but my heart knew better. The feelings grew. Quiet, persistent, undeniable. I knew it couldn't become anything more. She was Daniel's sister. I was his wife. And yet, when she looked at me, I felt seen in a way I hadn't in years. The night before Julia was supposed to leave, we sat on the couch like we always did. Out of nowhere, she looked at me. "Really, look, there's something inside you," she said softly. "Something you're holding back." I wanted to deny it, to brush it off. But when she took my hand, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I told her everything. About the silence, the emptiness, the way her presence had brought warmth back into my life. "With you," I whispered, "I feel alive again." She leaned closer, her eyes full of emotion, our foreheads almost touching. Then we heard a sound. We turned, and there was Daniel, standing silently at the edge of the room. His expression was unreadable, a mix of hurt and confusion. He had heard everything. "Daniel," I said, my voice trembling. "It's not what it sounds like. I don't even know what this is. I'm so sorry." He didn't say a word, just turned and walked away. The next morning, Daniel called us both into the living room. His voice was calm, but serious. "Josie," he said, "I didn't see what you were going through. I was so focused on work, I didn't notice how alone you felt. And Julia, I know you didn't mean to cause harm." Julia's eyes filled with tears. "I never wanted to come between you two," she said quietly. "I was lost," I admitted. "She helped me feel again. But I want to work on us, Daniel. I just need time." He nodded. Then let's take that time together. Julia left later that day. We hugged, the kind of hug that says more than words can. "You'll always be important to me, Josie," she whispered. As she walked away, I felt a deep ache, but also a strange peace. Daniel and I took slow steps toward rebuilding our relationship. We focused on small joys, open conversations, and learning to be present for each other again. Julia and I remained in touch, but from a respectful distance. Our connection had been real, but some chapters aren't meant to become full stories. Years later, I look back with gratitude. That period of my life taught me that love isn't always simple. It can be messy, unexpected, and deeply revealing. But even fleeting sparks can light the way back to something lasting if you're brave enough to face the truth and gentle enough to grow from it.